Tom, as you and I are chatting about customer service, and yeah, I'm realizing, man, I just don't have any great shining examples in my own life of any product or service that I spend my money on, that I choose to pay, and they do something to create my loyalty. Starbucks, live in a little town, not a whole lot of coffee options. We do have a really nice Starbucks, and they have their little loyalty program there. And so every so many coffees, I get a free coffee and I save it. So when I'm with my wife, I say, okay, get the expensive one, because she won't get the expensive one otherwise. Get whatever expensive thing, $7 coffee you want, and it's free. And I've got that. And I appreciate that. I do. And of course, I appreciate their customer service just from the smiles, and they do a good job there. But man, as far as, in this clip that we played, and your dad mentions Carl Sewell with Sewell Cadillac, who wrote the book Customers for Life, which I read literally about 35 years ago when I was working my one real job for Mike Hardwick of Churchill Mortgage. Anybody who listens to Dave Ramsey knows Churchill Mortgage. Well, I was part of the early days of that. And I was vice president of customer service. And I read that book and read others. And we did some things there in the business that quadrupled the repeat and referral business within a 2-year period of time. I mean, it was incredible. And to look around and go, man, but people aren't doing it. I mean, that how many car dealers are there? Carl Sewell wrote the book. Just go copy him. But you don't see it in this day and age. There's so few. Now, granted, I don't use a whole lot of services. I get a lot of products off of, Amazon and stuff like that. So I'm not in the market as much to be wowed. I'm still amazed though. So I was going to throw that question to you, but you said that you guys have been playing with an example or testing an example or doing an example with Ziglar. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I'll just kind of open up the curtains a little bit behind the scenes at Ziglar. We have our Ziglar Legacy certification that we've been doing since 2013. And it is actually, it was at the end of 2012, I think, is when we 2013 is when we came out with it. Just amazing program where we certify people to become speakers and trainers of our content.
Hey, I know. I went through it, man.
I know.
I was wowed, even though I'm biased, but I was wowed.
You survived. We survived. And then we added a coaching program to that. And then a little over a year ago, we came out with the Choose to Win coaching system. And so here's kind of the behind the scenes. And I'm just going to throw the numbers out. So all the entrepreneurs, all the business owners, all the customers, prospects. So you just kind of see how we came to the decisions that we did and how it's radically changed basically the performance and satisfaction rate of the people that we've engaged with.
Yeah.
We came out with this new program, and what we decided to do was to license people to become a Choose to Win coach. And with that, they could use all the material, go out, build their own coaching business. And we were saying, what should the investment be? And we came up with a number, which was about, I'm just going to throw it out there, it was about $6,000, which is a significant investment, but that's what it was. But we said, you know what, we want people to be engaged. We want people to stay. We want them to use it. And we want to reach as many people as possible. So what we decided to do instead was to take that number and cut it in half. And so you can come in and it's 3,000, but there is a $500 a month support that we provide with that. And so we tell people, hey, if you're coming in, you've got to be serious. You're investing in a business, and we want you to come in and commit to a number of months of support at $500 a month. And with that, we're going to do A, B, C, D, and E. We're going to do masterminds and open office hours and one-on-one sessions. And if you have a prospect and you want us to help you get them to be to coach with you, we'll get on the phone with you. We'll actually lead that conversation. And with that, when they sign up, it's 100% yours.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what I didn't realize would happen is that now our motivation became, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. In other words, retention became the name of the game.
Yeah.
And so our ears perked up. So now every time one of our coaches says, "What about this? What about that?" It's a completely different response. Not that we were ignoring or not responding before, but it wasn't built in to be a natural. So now, instead of completely focusing on a life-changing event and then saying you're part of the family and hey, we want to stay in touch, we're saying, hey, we're going to give you a life-changing event, and every month there's going to be something new, something different, something better, something that's going to meet your needs. Well, I think that this strategy, this idea that we put in place at the end of 2019 saved our bacon in 2020, because what did everybody have to do in March? We all had to pivot. We had to be agile. And so we had already kind of built in the muscles to being agile because we'd been doing this for a couple of months. And so we started meeting the needs of what the new world was. So when customer service, so here's where businesses get in trouble. And with Howard Partridge and the way we work with small business owners, when the thing that they get in trouble is we think of a pricing price point to where we're going to make profit, but we're really careful not to overprice, right? We're really careful not to price ourselves out of the market. And so what do is we then handcuff ourselves with the ability to give extraordinary service.
Yeah.
When you say, hey, and Howard is the master of this. He talks about the difference between selling a commodity, selling service, and selling an experience. And most people, their pricing kind of is around selling a service. And so what you do is you kind of get in a competition of, how can I do the bottom rung and the most, right? How can I appear to be at the top so I'm price competitive, but I'm not going the extra mile? And what we found is that when we go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to provide an amazing experience, but we're also going to show it as an investment so that when people ask the question, we can go the extra mile and do it. And so one of our partners, one of our clients through Howard's group, the Inner Circle, his name is AC Lockyer, and he's got the business called Softwash. And it's an innovative strategy. It's not a typical franchise opportunity. What it is you come in and you get amazing training on the front end on how to run the business. And then they earn your business every day, because his model is built on you coming back to him for the supplies and the ongoing support. And if you're not successful and he's not wowing you, then you just move on. So it's not a handcuff situation. It's, we want to earn your business every day. And so when I think of customer service, I think a lot of us would do very well to say, how can I provide extraordinary service? And there's two areas that we can do this in, areas that don't cost anything. Okay. So think of Chick-fil-A, the smile, the warm greeting, the consistency in their staff, the upbeat attitude, all of those things, those don't cost anything except for a decision at the top to say, this is the way we treat our people and our customers.
Yeah.
And then there are things that cost. Going the extra mile, providing a higher level of support, those things cost. Well, I'm a big proponent of, we should offer those things and people should gladly invest in that. And if they get the results, they're going to be glad they did. And if they don't get the results, then both of you have to, kind of come to that middle. And so this has been a huge difference in us. Now, here's something else that's awesome is when you talk about scalability, if you find something that's working, the tendency is to try to scale it quick, right? To take advantage of the situation. You might be a leader, you might be the first in the market, you might have gotten great publicity, and everybody wants it. And so you try to scale quick to take advantage of it, and then you run into trouble. You outgrow your platform, you outgrow your ability to take care of the needs, and then you get a backlash and you struggle. If your ultimate goal is the retention of your most important and most valuable customers, then scale happens naturally, right? It just happens as you do that. So, so that's kind of my take on it is customer service needs to be a built-in part of your plan. And when your plan says, I'm going to provide extraordinary experiences, then you have the ability to charge more. And by the way, that's where the profit is
Yeah.
for business is there. And the other thing that's kind of cool about this approach is your best customers refer people like themselves. And so do you want price shoppers to be referring price shoppers, or do you want experience value oriented people to refer others of the same way? Because at the end of the day, it's either how much did it cost me, and did I, could I gotten it cheaper, or did I sleep good at night and did they fulfill every promise they made? Two different kinds of animals.
Yeah.
I know which one. I know the person I love. I love the person who says, I want to go where there's an amazing experience because that's what I want to do for the people I serve. I want to provide an amazing experience.
And that again is it's amazingly rare in our culture to have a business. And we look at here, I've got this product, I got this service. How do I get a customer? How do I get a client? We think about that. And then how do I get the next one? And yet who knows how old the messaging is on the most profitable client customer is the one you already have and the ones that they'll refer, repeat and referral business. It's so profound and so rare. I mean, you mentioned Chick-fil-A, and I think Starbucks does a good job at it as well. They smile, they greet you, they have good efficiency, and it is so rare. Just a smile and a greeting and a, hey, thanks for shopping here is so stinking rare to get a smile these days. Of course, today you can't see the smile because they got a mask on, but you can see it in their eyes. Hey, you did mention Howard Partridge, and folks, Tom talks about him a lot. We've had Howard on the show multiple times. They, of course, have their business coaching. If you go to the Ziglar Facebook page, you can find lots of videos from Howard. He'll come on there and spend 45 minutes just giving his best counsel on different areas of business. So you can get, you can get free counsel. Just go there, get free counsel. But if you are thinking of engaging at all, it's a great way to get a feeling. You get a feeling here of Tom, but there you'll get a feeling of Howard as well. And you also, Tom, in having just not the front up front, and this is outside of customer service, but I just wanted folks to hear the upfront fee, just the big, $6,000 fee, and instead breaking that up and then going along with some ongoing payments. I mean, that subscription model, folks, from a business standpoint, is one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing business model right now. It's one of those that is platforms that is getting to be rampant, and whatever you think about it, it is just flourishing right now. So I have a similar subscription model business that I'll be telling people about it here as well. And the focus of it though will be retention and referral. So I'll be walking out what we talked about today. Well, let me throw out a couple of the comments, Tom, and I think it'll get us into some further points on this issue of customer service. Jessica Smith Moyer, who talk about ZLC. She is a graduate recently, probably last fall, I think, summer or fall.
Yep.
She says, I listen and get to know the needs of my customers. In my case, I have a small boutique style gym. And I'm a life coach. I make the time to get to know my clients. They matter. I'm authentic. I keep it so I develop trust and loyalty. Businesses gain my loyalty the same way. Mason Bassick says it's the old fashioned in-person impression that makes the difference. We can be whomever we want to be behind emails and Zoom calls, but the real energy to trust a client and vice versa comes from getting to know the actual person. A business owner can simply know enough people on a personal level to become successful. So I'm going to put that under the category of relationship. Not everybody has that. If you are selling cameras on Amazon, it's difficult to build a relationship with somebody. Not to say you can't do it if you do some extraneous marketing and connection with them, but it's harder to do. But most of us here on the Ziglar Show are providing premium products and service. We're not providing commodities by far and large. And in that, we generally have the opportunity to create a relationship, if not one-on-one, then at least in mass. I mean, we can do that via a podcast. I mean, people feel like they have a relationship with the podcaster, and that's valid. You can do that on Facebook. You can do that in Facebook groups and other private community groups. Right now, you can build relationship, and there may not be a better loyalty than that. And even speaking of Starbucks, now I have a small town here and a local Starbucks, but even if you are in a big city, you can still have a local place with the same employees. They know me. So whether I walk in or whether I pull up and they got the little video camera there, it's, oh, hey, Kevin. So the regular, yep. And they know what my order is. And it makes me feel like $1,000,000. And it's great business for them, keeps me loyal, keeps my money coming in. And I feel, their gratitude. But that relationship, how can you build relationship? And Tom, it is still one of those things. It's just so rare. I mean, I can spend a lot of money, have somebody come out to my house, come out and provide a service. They do it. They feel like they did a good job. I think they did a good job. They go their own way, and I forget about them. I forget. I don't know how often that happens, especially with home services. 2 years later, I'll be thinking, man, I need to get XYZ done. I cannot remember who I had done. The last service provider I had done, I actually kept their invoice and stuck it in our pantry where we have kind of, family calendar and stuff, stuck it up high so I can find it again, because I know I won't hear from them again, which is ridiculous. The amount of money I spent, the amount of people I could refer, my neighbors who need the same service. But I'm not going to hear from them. They don't think about relationship, and it's not that difficult. It's dramatically rare.
100%. I was doing a little bit of research the last 2 days, checking out some Patrick Lencioni material.
Yeah.
And he's written so much about vulnerability and trust and the things that make a difference in building a relationship. And here's a quote that we came up with, or that I came up with this morning. Integrity is the foundation, and vulnerability is the light through which trust shines brightest.
Wow.
And so I think one of the challenges, the reason that you see a lackadaisical attitude or a suspect customer service approach is because people don't have confidence in their own integrity, which doesn't allow them to be vulnerable. And vulnerability creates trustworthiness or trust in the transaction. And so what do I mean by that? If, let's say, your business is doing the best it can, and then there's a customer upset, right? Something didn't get delivered on time. There was an expectation that wasn't met. The wires, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have a lot of integrity and confidence in yourself, then you can enter into that conversation in a humble and even vulnerable way, not defensive. Hey, I heard that we missed the deadline. Tell me more about what happened. And that is a disarming and trust building approach for that client. I have to tell you that our best customers a lot of times are the ones where we've messed up, right? Not intentionally, because things happen. I mean, when you work with enough people, there's disappointments. Things don't happen the way you thought it would. And so it's how you recover and how you handle that situation. And so when I look at people who immediately refer to, it's like I heard in the news, and there's two ends of the spectrum. Okay. And I'm just going to share something that's going on in the news. I heard up in New York that they were throwing away vials of perfectly good vaccine because they had opened them and there wasn't anybody in the room who fit the criteria of being 75 or at risk. And so you had 100% policy bureaucrat saying, better to throw away vaccine than to give it to a family member or a staff member, or even walking out on the street and saying, hey, anybody want the vaccine? So think about that. There's no, that person in that situation, that environment, it didn't have the integrity and the humility and the understanding to get the big picture. And then you hear the other side of the coin, which is, hey, you know what? I can't believe it. We accidentally opened all this extra vaccine. We might as well just vaccinate our whole staff and their whole families. And so we've got two things going on. To me, it's like both of those are opposite ends of the customer service dilemma. Taking advantage of the rules or punishing people with the rules. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's why integrity is the foundation. And then that ability, that self-confidence, that knowing, that vulnerability, letting them know you don't have all the answers, letting them know that you didn't know that that happened, letting them know that you're not sure how long it's going to take, but you're going to find out right away. Those kind of answers, while it's not what somebody wants to hear, it's the truth, and it's delivered with integrity. And then you follow up and you make it right.
You mentioned integrity 10 times right there. Tamara Buttery here, she quoted Colossians 3:23. It's out of the Bible, folks. And the verse is, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. And I didn't pull it out, Tom. I don't know if you can do a good enough job of quoting the, was it Michelangelo quote? If you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best as under the glory of man. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing like crazy, but
Right.
something along those lines. And I thought there's a great model as you get together to look at launching a business, or if you have a business, to say, how would you do the business if you were tasked to just do it altruistically? That's it. So Bill Gates is going to put $5 million grant in your bank account. You don't need to do it for the money. You are there and tasked, though, to provide that service and just wow people. It's not, because we come into it with this equality. This is an equal trade. I provide my product and service. You provide your money. It's an equal trade. And that's what I see as the problem, is we think it's an equal trade as opposed to more of a pay it forward mentality of, no, you're paying me. I'm going to give you more than you deserve for that money with my product or service, because I want you to pay it forward. I want you to stay with me, be loyal, and I want you to recommend people to me instead of just this equality. If you just do equality, then it's too easy for me to think somebody else might provide it better, cheaper, faster, nicer. And so we're so prone to just jump. I'm not loyal to many companies because they don't give me a reason to be. But I do want to pull out too, Tom. You mentioned mistakes. Marianne Schutz here. I don't know what her product is, but she says, we greet every customer, treat them with respect. We give away free product to repeat customers. We remember names and their weekly order. We respond quickly to complaints as we all make mistakes. I say a complaint is a gift to our business, as the customer is giving you a chance to fix a problem and make your business better. And if you respond well, the customer is likely to tell their friends how impressed they were with how you handled it. Man, I agree. I learned that, Tom, waiting tables in Nashville, Tennessee at a high-end restaurant. And I realized I didn't know it. I'm not a very detailed person. And I had a bad habit of people making their order an appetizer, order their dinner, whatever. I would forget the appetizer. So here I come with their dinner and they're like, man, we didn't get the appetizer. Well, for one, you can't make up for that. Now here's their hot food. I'm going to give it to them. I can't go back in time and give them their appetizer that they wanted before their food while they were talking and while they were waiting. I can't do it. And I just felt terrible because I'm a people pleaser too. So I honestly felt terrible. So I would go above and beyond. I would way overcompensate. The place had really expensive, fancy desserts. I said, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Can I give you guys desserts? You guys pick it. It's all on me. Now I got the desserts very cheaply, from the restaurant. So my cost was very low as an employee to do that for free. Sometimes they would just let me do it anyways. Well, what I realized then when I overcompensated, statistically, my tips were about 5 to 7% bigger than the normal table where I didn't make a mistake. And I remember joking about it. I couldn't get myself to do it, but it was tempted to say, I'm just going to do that with every table, make a mistake with every table, overcompensate. My tip goes through the roof by overcompensating. But I learned that and I brought that into business later on. And that's it. So whatever business I've done, if we make a mistake, it's not enough to just fix it and come back to the level, because we made that mistake. We wasted their time. We wasted their money. We didn't give them what they want. So we're at a deficit. So to come back to the level to where, just giving them what they wanted, we can't do that. We have to go over that to fix the deficit. So I remember here at the medical practice, I bought in bulk Starbucks cards and just said, guys, I want you to figure out ways to give these away for mistakes. Anytime we make somebody wait too long, we miss an appointment, they forget a prescription, whatever the mistake is, give them, fix it. First off, fix it and give them a Starbucks card, or we may need to give them something else, but let's have this in mind that we need to overcompensate. It's such a great opportunity. We had, I was at a hotel recently. We ordered sushi for a bunch of people, picked it up, brought it back. They had forgotten a bunch of stuff. Literally, somebody got on the phone and sure enough, they had just forgotten it. So of course they just fumbled all over themselves. I'm so sorry. So sorry, please, come back. We'll get it for you. And of course I'm thinking that's not good enough. Somebody has to get in their car, waste their gas, waste their time to go back and get what we should have. And so since they didn't offer, I asked, I said, hey, have them throw in, and I named off a bunch of rolls for our hassle, which they said, yeah, we'll do that. But I wish they had done that. I mean, that's the concept. If you mess up, fixing it is just coming back up the level. You have to go beyond that. So I love that she says a complaint is a gift to your business, as a customer is giving you a chance to fix a problem and make your business better. Totally agree. Love that perspective.
Right on. And I like that, but I tell you what I like even more is where the system is built in to follow up with an acknowledgement, to do the little bit of extra when they're totally not expecting it.
That's John Ruhlin, giftology. That's his perspective to wow them when it's not reciprocal.
Yeah. Just going the extra mile, and it doesn't have to cost you any money. One of the things that I really enjoyed, we had Dad speak in Shreveport, Louisiana, and we went to this really famous little local Italian restaurant. I can't remember the name of it. It was one of those places where they have all the celebrities. Mm-hmm. And so Shreveport's not a big spot, right? But yet you look on the wall and there's all these pictures with the owner and the chef, the Italian chef owner. And we're in there eating, and he comes personally in his chef outfit and hands us a little sampler of appetizers. And then he walks off. I'm glad you're here. And then 20 minutes later, when we were pretty much done with the meal, he comes and sits down. He pulls up a chair and just sits down. And it was only a minute. He was so good at it. Hey, I run, this is my place. How are you enjoying it? Any feedback you want to give? I've got the greatest team in the world. I just appreciate you coming in. Well, because I looked at the menu, and I'll tell you, the food was well above average, but it wasn't like an exquisite 5-star dining event, right? I mean, it wasn't that type of a restaurant, but it was well above average. The service was fantastic because everybody was responding off of him, but his prices were also 20% more than what you would expect in that market for that type of a restaurant.
Yeah.
And there's no question, I would go back to that restaurant in the Italian category versus any other, because I felt personally valued.
Yeah.
Right. And so here was somebody doing and providing the extra because they could. And there was no problem, no challenge, no reason. So I've always liked that. I've always loved it when management or ownership takes the time to reach out and say, hey, we appreciate your business. I'm proud of my team. We're treating you well. I mean, that's such a simple thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom, I had that here in my town, a gentleman who owned a high-end restaurant up here and down in the Springs, and he loved on people. I think food was just a reason for him to be able to sit down and talk with people. He was so beloved. He became the mayor up here. He actually just recently died at way too young of an age from cancer, and left a hole. I mean, I think people really, really just felt the loss. I do, because it was a loss of a spirit, not of a business owner, not of just some provider here in town, but of somebody who cared for them. Because some people, I think that was the only care they got. They'd go to that restaurant and sit down because Neil would come over and he would care about them. He would know them by name, and it just doesn't happen. Hey, Jennifer Meisel here, she says, it can be the smallest thoughtful gesture that tells the customer you listen and remembered them. For instance, when I owned a salon, I always provided free drinks, but only just the standards. When I heard a customer complaining that no one carried their favorite drink, like a Fresco or something like that, I bought a case and put it in the employee fridge to have for her when she came in. You would have thought I gave her a diamond tiara. If your interactions are not face to face, I'll make small talk and find out about their kids or their teams they like, and send texts or emails when their favorite team wins. No hidden agenda other than establishing a relationship. To earn my business, other than standard customer service, remembering and pronouncing my name correctly will give you major brownie points. Yeah, that again, going above and beyond. And Tom, that's again where it's so counter. I don't know if it's fair to say it's counterintuitive, but we just don't put that in business models to say, okay, here again is the problem. I go back to that equality thing. Here's the product or service I'm providing. Here's the cost. Like back to you guys and looking at, a $6,000 tag, but whatever your cost is, what product for everybody who's listening right now, what is your product? What is your service? What's the price you put on it for that you're going to deliver it for that amount of money that somebody's going to give you? How can you create that product and have something else on the side? Something else above there so that you are guaranteed to over deliver? How can you make sure that happens, that whatever their expectation is, you guarantee you're going to go above and beyond that? And you can just put it in your pricing model. So if the product is $10, product or service is $10, they're going to give you $10. Then, like you said, with the restaurateur, then charge 12 and put that $2 extra towards something else you're going to give them. So to you, it still may feel like inequality, but from the customer standpoint, it's going to be that extra thing. I did a mastermind. I spoke for a group for their mastermind group recently, and they wanted me to talk about podcasting and talk about some nuances there and talk about getting guests on and how to get on shows. And I didn't plan to talk about it, but I ended up hitting in. I receive anywhere from 3 to 6, 7 books per week. So just books that'll come in. They'll come in from agencies, from publishers, and from authors. So I just get packages. I'll open up my door after this. Chances are there'll be a couple packages. I open it up, and I may recognize the book. It may be somebody I talked with or a publisher or whatever and said I was interested, or I may not have any idea. Most of them come in a similar type little package or a box from Amazon or wherever they came from, and I get the book. Every once in a while, like I did the other day, I get this really pretty package. I actually have a picture of it. I wish I could show it. I got it from Ray Edwards. You know Ray?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Ray.
Of course, you got a nice package from them.
I got a package from Ray, and it has his newest book. It has a handwritten card to me naming something personal. This wasn't something done by his secretary. I can't remember what it was, but he knows of me, knows about me. And so he said something personal. Then there is a bag of this local coffee to where he is, some special coffee, not just some off the shelf coffee. So I open it up. Of course, it smells great. I love coffee. He probably knows that. And then it had also another local, it was like a flavor additive, like a syrup. I haven't used it yet, but a syrup you put in your coffee. I'm wowed. I mean, how much did that stand out from the 30 previous books that I just got? And I'm going to have him on the show, not just because of that, but my gosh, he made me pay attention to that a lot more than the other 20 books that had just come in. Carrie Oberbrunner did that as well. Had him on the show recently, and he did the same thing. The box had a t-shirt in it, had a Starbucks card for $25 or something like that. And it's so little and they're both on the show. What's that? What's the value of the show? That doesn't mean that if somebody sends me a box of goodies, I'm going to put you on the show, but what's the propensity? And
Is
what was
this an advertisement?
yeah, yeah, folks, I can be bought with food right here. Somebody sends sushi, quick.
Yeah.
But what a little thing. And they got, what's the value of being a guest on the show? It's huge. But, put that into what's the value of that extra $2 or that extra $20 or something that you have integrated into your product or service to go and wow the customer? What does it mean? What's the profit that you get if they buy from you one more time, if they send one more extra customer to you? And again, we just don't think in that. We don't do the math right.
Yeah. It's a new way of thinking. One of my friends, he's over in just outside of Amsterdam, and I believe it's his father-in-law, largest dental practice in the area. And I think I've told this story before, but I just love it because his father-in-law made a decision. He said when he was growing and building his practice, he said, I'm never going to be working when my children are at home from school. So he went to so that's a big, like, if you're running a business and you're going to take vacation whenever your kids are taking vacation, kids get a lot more vacation than people who got jobs, right? So he went to a CPA and he said, we've got a plan for this because I'm going to take about a 20% hit or a 10% hit in everything. So he put that in and he started getting creative. How do I really attract and keep and thrill and serve my best customers? And because his commitment was to lifestyle, his commitment was my family's the most important thing. And I'm willing to sacrifice on my career side, on my business side, to make my family my number one priority. And so the creative brain started working. How do I do both, right? How do I make family number one, spend the time with them, and have my business grow? Well, there, like it is in the States, if you have an appointment on the books and they confirm it the day before, and then you no-show, he would bill his no-shows $100, right? Because he lost revenue for that day that he could have put to had somebody else come in and do it. So he thought, that probably doesn't leave the best taste in somebody's mouth. It's understandable why people do it, but so he changed his policy. So the policy became, if you no-show, then you have to provide your mother's number one secret family recipe.
So great.
And so what would happen is these people would get the call or the note saying, hey, look, we want to reschedule you. Are you okay? Okay, here's the penalty. And so he started keeping this box of recipes of the number one secret from people who did that. And then he would tell them, look, if you no-show again, you're going to have to cook that recipe and bring it in on potluck Friday. And so they started having this tradition where they built a community and food would just start showing up on Friday. And even customers, patients who didn't have an appointment would stop by on Friday. Well, what made that possible? He said, you know what? I'm going to build a coffee bar in my practice waiting room. Mm. And so we brought in all kinds of nice coffee. And when people would come in the morning, he would come out and sit with the 5 or 6 people who were there for the first round of appointments, and he'd have coffee with them and talk. Isn't that different?
Well, go ahead.
And then he would notice sometimes somebody would be looking at their watch. How long is this going to take? I'm in a hurry. And then when he would meet with them one-on-one, he would say, look, we're building a community here, and we're not going to get people through as fast as possible. And I completely understand if we're not the right place for you to get your dental work done, because we're about the relationship. We're about the whole person. And when he went the next year to a CPA, his business had actually grown.
That's awesome.
And he looked at a CPA and he said, how did that happen? And his CPA looked at him and said, "Oh, it's easy. You were 100% focused, passionate, and energized when you were working. And so you got more work done in less time than you ever had because you were getting refueled with your family, you were building relationships with your people." And did he do that through raising his prices or shortening his hours? No, he did it by looking at it from, what is the extra differential value that I can give that's unique to me that nobody else can give?
And it's so much more powerful too, because dentistry as a profession has one of the higher suicide rates of professions, or at least of medical. Because think about it, they spend their days primarily with youngsters coming in who are terrified. It's uncomfortable. They're crying. It's such a negative atmosphere. And so to turn it around, yeah, I just put my seventh kid in braces, and my wife got braces again. So we have eight people, and we've used this place, and they do a good job. I mean, they're nice and courteous, and they're really fast.
I heard that Dennis has a new Tesla and the license plate says TY Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. I have helped that person pay for a few things, no doubt. Yeah, it's unreal. But they just get us. There's no relationship. They get us in, get us out. I mean, they're fine. If there was something better that we took the time, or somebody got through to us, we would jump over. Yeah. So again, so powerful. Such a powerful story. I just want people to go away with. Here's the most convicting thing, Tom. We've mentioned it before. I want to drill it home again, that when somebody comes to buy your product or buy your service and you do a perfect job, a perfect job. Let's say it's a service, you come to their house, you do what you're supposed to do, and it's perfect. You provide a perfect product, and you think that nobody else provides it that perfectly in your arena. So you think that you're ahead of the game. But when you provide that perfect thing, if you come and give me a perfect product or service, all you have done, again, is meet what I hoped to have gotten. You met my expectation. That's great. You didn't go above it. So if somebody comes along with a little knickknack, yeah, I remember ZLC, Tom, coming there to ZLC, and it's a healthy ticket. And I came back with journals and notepads and pens and mints and all these things that also kept speaking Ziglar to me. One, but I felt like I got all this value. I came home with all this swag. Of course, it was probably $10 total worth of stuff on thousands of dollars worth of cost. I mean, it is great. Again, why don't we go above and beyond? So we had so many great comments. It'd be fun to go through them all. If you want to go look at it, the Facebook post was on my personal Facebook page, actually, January 12th of 2021. You can go there and you can read a lot of other examples, but it shouldn't be very hard to go into your business, your product, your service, and look at how can you build into it, going above and beyond somebody's expectation to wow them, and even tell them, hey, we're trying to wow you because we want you to stick with us. What would it take? Do that. Do a survey. What would it take to make you loyal to us? If my mechanic did that, if my hair salon did that, if my grocery store did that, man, I would tell them what it would take to make me loyal, because nobody's doing it. Ask your customers, ask your clients how you can do it. And I'm grateful to be a part of Ziglar, who always wows everybody and goes above and beyond. It's a great example and builds relationship. That's number one. The Ziglar family. Everybody thinks of it as a family, which is absolutely priceless. Tom, brother, always a gift.
Absolutely. I appreciate your intense focus. It's always good to spend time with the greatest podcast host in all the land.
Love hearing that, Tom. Thank you, brother.